I want to speak about the EudraVigilance environment. It's not actually going to be a user training course, on the details of each field. And also I'm only going to speak about the human post-marketing environment. I'm not going to speak about the veterinary environment because that is a bit, not applicable. So I want to give you an introduction, then run through a few details, speak about some of the challenges you might face, or you might have faced really, before giving you a chance to ask questions. Then that obviously depends on timelines. If you guys can give me shit if I'm going on and on. Anyway, so the EudraVigilance system is fairly self-explanatory really from this slide. Essentially, this slide is saying it's the electronic reporting tool in the EEA, or for the EEA. I should say the EEA is pretty much the EU plus Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein. And it's, you could sort of say it's the trade arm really. EudraVigilance is mandated by law. It covers both pre and post marketing. Obviously I'm only going to focusing on post marketing, but it does it provides data for the management of the risk, certainly in the EEA. Okay, let's see. It's consistent with the ISH E2B. E2B defines the data elements for transmission of individual case reports. Sorry. Okay. Essentially, it is a database for us. It's a database really. It is fully searchable for the EMA and the national regulatory authorities. It's only pretty much partially sort of searchable for us guys, the MHs. I say that because there is a certain amount of searchability which has fairly recently come out, but it's still only a portal for us guys. So there are three methods for updating the EudraVigilance. They are the E2B transfer, the EV web and the EV post method. I want to go through obviously each of these in turn. The E2B method is really an automatic method. It uses, it's also a method of transfer of XML data or computerized data really from your safety database to the EudraVigilance. It hence it uses the computerized gateway, hence it's called the gateway method. The second method is the one I tend to favour. It is, thanks. Now, it's a method of manually populating the EMA, the EudraVigilance, via the web, hence it's called the web trader method. Probably use the web. Myself in the UK, I have all the various certification required to actually use the EudraVigilance. My colleagues over in India actually populate EudraVigilance by the EV web, so it's a case of obviously use the web, and therefore it can be pretty much anyway it's usually and then essentially the EV web looks like this on screen. Got essentially lots of pretty sort of color buttons, and this is where the user training is obviously needed, which buttons you press when and so forth. This method is really only used where you have small amounts of data. Perhaps you have an unauthorized product that's really, been around for ages and ages. You've got a fairly sort of well-known safety profile. No real need for an expensive database. Unlike, obviously, an automatic method, where you have perhaps you've got a newer AMP, where you potentially have lots of DRs, or you might have a pharmacologically dirty drug, with lots and lots of secondary actions. The third method of updating the EudraVigilance is called the EV post method. This is meant for databases of safety database which can't transfer the XML data automatically. So what you do, you put the data onto your database, create this E2B XR file, and then give it to or post it to EudraVigilance. I don't particularly like this method. It's not very flexible, I find. If you've got a really obvious spelling error, you can't change it. You have to go through the iteration. Anyway, the current legislatory framework looks like this, where we have the new regulation, the 1235/2010, but we also have the an element of the old regulation, is 726/2004 as amended, the directive 2010/84/EU, and also the old directive 2001/83/EC as amended. I'll go through all that later on. And really, I suppose, we have as Angela mentioned, actually, there are lots of GVP modules, but it's GVP module 6 you need. There is actually a sort of reference slide to the EMA's GVP modules and which ones aren't there, and etc. etc. Okay. Now then, obviously the access is highly restricted. It's a secure environment. There has to be a central controller, and this is one of two methods. In the ear, we have the QPPV, which is, as it says, is specifically for MHs, or the authorized medicinal products. It's mandated by law. In fact, the role is defined exactly what you do, what you don't do, or in the GVP module. Obviously, it covers the whole of PV. In addition, you have what's called a trusted deputy. You can do. Single quotes, trusted deputy, is specifically for EudraVigilance. It is absolutely not deputy QPPV. Okay, trusted deputy, and that is actually a term that the EMA use. But the order access rights, well, the QPPV is obviously a super user that they can do all sorts. The trusted deputy is a super-ish user, or quite super as a QPPV. They can only do so much, and then they have to refer things to the QP. The lowest level on that is obviously the standard users who can deal with the data entry only. Now then, it is, or the reason behind actually, the registration, obviously the EMA wants to make sure you've a valid reason. There's security of proprietary data. There's patient protection, the confidentiality thing, individual anonymity, and also that there's that wider information protection thing, the protecting against this bandwagon effect or major media exaggeration. Okay. The subject shows that compliance. It does on my notes anyway. Safety compliance timelines, or safety data compliance timelines for individual cases are 15 days, obviously, from the date the case is first received by the MH to the date an acknowledgement message is returned from the EudraVigilance. Associated to EudraVigilance is this XEVMPD thing, which I'll speak about later on. The medicinal protection, I said here, uses the SMPC, but I'll go into that later. Anyway, so the challenges you might face. The first one there is you have to really allow enough time to get onto pass the user training. Obviously, there is a certificate of competence, and the rules state that must be at least one person per organisation who has undergone official training. They can train others. So, hence the fact that via the Indian, I can train the Indian arm, and they can deal with things. Anyway, obviously, you may want to maintain quality, the whole quality. The second point on there is the registration. You have to allow enough time to sort of register with the system for with the EMA, and currently, which will change the national authorities. I say it'll change. Obviously, the word change seems well. Yeah. Anyway. I've got population of the XEVMPD with the AMP details. Well, I'll leave that till later on, but another thing on there is that the whole resources, the departmental organisation, you have to be, really ensure you've got enough trained people, obviously in the EudraVigilance, to deal with the ICSRs, the whole data entry and review and so forth. Obviously the departmental organisation is obviously down to you guys, but I prefer to have a separate group to deal with EudraVigilance and obviously, your safety or the company safety database. And the reason for that is the whole language thing. I'll put this in because the language used in EudraVigilance might need a bit of extra attention. It might, things might not mean exactly what you think it means, and you need to ask someone. I think you really have to bear in mind that there are 24 official languages in the EU, and things might get a little, what's what I've used here? Mix up really in translation when a system's been designed. I suppose an example of that could be QP, PV. Well, there's also a QP for the manufacturing, both which obviously are so mandatory. But I think go back to the trusted deputy thing. That is another. Well, so you might think, well, trusted deputy, is that the same as deputy? No. Anyway, so the very last point on there is these compliance timelines in terms of ISSR reporting. Obviously you have to allow enough time for a 15-day report, and you have to factor in really both the official training and also if you've got errors, I don't know, perhaps you send a report and you get an error message back. Well, if you ask the EMA, you know, what on earth is, they actually give themselves a 20-day turnaround. So, you know, it's probably best to actually speak to somebody suitably qualified, and or go to the official sort of EudraVigilance, well, the official EV user manual, which I use a link to it in the resources bar. I think that's probably it. So, you know, thanks for your attention, and any questions?
It was mentioned the ongoing use of interim arrangements earlier on. When do you think the audit will take place and the financial, the final arrangements will come into play?
I was hoping it would last on. It's essentially I can't really say, you know, they say they're going to sort of do something and they have certain timelines, and then you know full well that things are going to sort of shift. I think one problem is the EMA have rather taken on a lot at the moment. 2016 is a sort of date which they keep penciling in for some reason, whether things will actually happen. I think perhaps not in terms of, you know, all the sort of, well, the idea of IDMP and things. I'll mention all that afterwards. So, in summary, what's this space?
I think based on experience, it may take some time. I'm just remembering that, if I remember correctly, that when the legislation 2001 EC 83 EC came out, I think the deadline for electronic transmission of data by ICSRs to the EMEA, or then when it was the EMEA still, was about September 2003.
Yeah.
Which was about 12 years ago. So things do tend to move quite slowly. So, you know,
I think on the deadline of 20th November 2005, out of 3,000 MAHs and EDI partners, I think about 20 were ready.
Yeah.
So not a great success.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So things are sort of up in the air, and the EMA are sort of, well, they have all these super planned, but really you know full well things are going to shift. That's probably it, is it? Okay, so yeah, buying contact details on there, so if you need, or if you think of other sort of things as you go on, as are some references.